Hello, everyone, and happy Facebook Live. When was the last time that we had severe potential for a Facebook Live? It's been a while.
It's been a while.
It would probably be mid-August. We got Peyton Langford here. Oh, I hope this thing doesn't glitch out because it was looking like it might do that. But
Oh no.
let me know if you guys can hear us okay. Might need to reboot the computer. We'll do that later. But hey, what's up, Alexis? Hey, Mason. Thank you, other team. I don't have TV anymore. Wow. This song is such a banger. I appreciate that. So,
Sure is.
well, let's get right into it. We've got the potential for severe weather. It's tomorrow night, not tonight. So we're getting you ahead of time and getting you prepared ahead of time. We also had fire danger that was out in Oklahoma today. It was pretty bad.
Everywhere.
Yeah, a lot of stuff going on. And we've got a very active weather pattern. So what ties are you laying out for tomorrow? It's going to be a lot of them. The lightning tie, the big lightning tie, the QLCS tornado tie, potentially. Don't think we're going to see the May 26th hook tie.
No.
That's not coming out tomorrow. So Brandon says, will this is that a run for the Yankees?
He baffled it too.
Will the severe weather tomorrow night be anything like November 4th outbreak? I know exactly what you're talking about, Brendan, and it does remind me a lot of that, considering that instability was always a question for that event, and then it ended up not being. And keep in mind, this is right around that time. Don't forget, too, November 2022, we had extreme warmth. We had record levels. We had heat that was happening. Definitely not wearing the Longhorn tie. That's for sure. Not even close. Josh says have to blow the dust off. Blow the cobwebs off, right?
Yes.
Peyton?
Yep.
Blow the dust off the severe weather graphics. That's the truth. Watching from Flint Creek, Oklahoma. Funny you mentioned Flint Creek because that could be an area that is really under the gun. Looks like we got to block Charles Peak.
Yep. Nope.
He says, go Horns. Yeah, go home. Well, Horns are going to be coming to Northwest Arkansas and Fayetteville. That's going to be interesting. All right. Enough of that. Enough of we'll talk more later, but we want to give you the goods in terms of the forecast and the severe weather potential. So, first of all, Peyton and I, we've been looking at this. These ingredients aren't bad, honestly. They really aren't. The shear vector may not line up perfectly with all the storms in the line, but QLCS tornado potential will be there. Isolated cells, that right turn will have a good tornado potential, and we'll take you through all this. So first of all, what's the threat? Well, it's going to be damaging winds, large hail, and the potential for some tornadoes. The timing of this at this point, and we're going to show you why we have 8 o'clock in the evening. That's the very earliest onset for the severe weather potential in our weather forecast area. There's not going to be anything overnight. There's not going to be any storms tomorrow morning, but things will start ramping up pretty dramatically tomorrow evening, and especially tomorrow overnight. So this is going to be, again, something to watch. And Jacob asks if there's going to be an enhanced risk. I don't think it's going to be for here. If it is, if we do see an enhanced risk, it would be in our western coverage area.
Might push right up to the I-44 corridor.
Yeah, I think it will. And you can see where that enhanced risk is. Let me take you back to show you the I-44 corridor. I-44 corridor is, as you can see, that right there, just to the northwest of Tulsa, northeast of Tulsa, should I say. Northwest is where the enhanced risk. I could see the enhanced kind of dropping down to here. I could see that, especially with those isolated cells. And Bradley mentioned it right there, showing isolated convection. Fort Smith will have the potential for storms and severe weather. Everybody is going to be under the threat. As you can see, you don't even have to ask about your area because you could see all of the severe weather potential and the risk that covers the entire area. Now, if we take a look at the individual threats, we'll step through them here and show you. First of all, the tornado threat. Surprisingly, but I'm not saying that this is a surprise that they did it, but it is a little bit surprising considering a few days ago the models had very little storm activity at all. But there is now an hatched area for tornadoes. So that hatched area, as you see on the screen, says significant EF2 to EF5, EF2 plus essentially. So you have the potential, a greater potential for violent tornadoes, strong to violent, in this hatched area. Does that mean they can't happen around here? Well, yeah, no, that doesn't mean that they can't happen around here. But what it does mean is the probability is greater to the northwest. But remember, the storms, as we mentioned before, they don't follow colors. They don't follow all of these schemes. So that's the tornado threat. The damaging wind potential, as you'll see right here, shows up with the day 2 convective outlook, and that's also high to the northwest. We look at the day 2 hail, and you got the hail threat. I think the main threats with these storms is going to be damaging winds and heavy rain and lightning and tornado potential. And I think the hail is going to be on the lower end of the spectrum. I just do, with cold core, or not cold core, but cold season systems. You typically don't see as big of a hail. But then again, isolated storm that could develop out ahead of it could lead to a whole different ball game. And that's what someone said right there. If the HRRR show an isolated convection, if these cells can mature, they would pose a higher tornado risk. So after looking at all that, let's show you what the future track radar shows. And the future track is definitely going to be pretty active. As you'll see, nothing happening tonight, nothing for tomorrow in the morning hours, but watch what happens. This is why there could be maybe a stray shower or storm that pops up during the afternoon. I personally think we're going to be capped. If we do see any type of convection, and Peyton, I don't know, you can tell me if you think about if you agree with this. There may be like just a little bit of like brief rain that might drop the temperature a little bit. That could limit the severe weather potential, but I think honestly that's going to be mostly capped.
Yeah, mostly capped, and any isolated stuff that does pop up that may be tornado with west, you got to think about the outflow boundary and the cold pool kind of coming out over us.
Yeah,
and the anvils too. That would kind of cool things down a little bit as well.
Yeah, we got to watch that for sure. And you mentioned that you can have an enhanced storms rotation with the line that's coming in. That has been documented multiple times, including May 24th of 2011. We had a storm that interacted with an outflow, an RFD from a line, and that created an enhanced circulation, which ended up prompting a tornado development rapidly. So that's something that we got to watch. So we'll go back to our graphics here, and we'll step through this in time. 10 o'clock, notice the potential for some isolated development across the river valley. So someone was asking about Fort Smith. Fort Smith, oh, I can't help but say this. Shakira, in Fort Smith, we have the potential for some storm activity. I just heard that song on the radio not too long ago. So sorry, I'm sure you haven't heard that before. But there's a look at the storm development. Peyton just nodded his head. It was like, come on, you thought of it too when you saw the name.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I was just the one that said it. But anyways, there's a storm development that pops up. So Fort Smith will have the potential for storms. And then look at that line mature. Now, at this point, that's a pretty hefty line. So we know this for a fact. Every single square inch of the area is going to see rain. And probably by tomorrow, we're going to bump up those rain chances for early Thursday morning to 100%. Look at that. I mean, that's a line. That's a stout line. And there's going to be embedded storms within that line. What we'll have to find out is what the 0 to 3 kilometer line normal bulk shear vector looks like, and will the line be perpendicular to that? Because that's going to develop the potential for tornadoes, essentially. So then you can see the storms obviously moving through the central Arkansas area, but they do weaken. As you can tell, they are on a weakening trend, and that's because the instability won't be as great because the moisture return isn't as stout there. But still, can't let down your guard. There's a storm moving through. There's the frontal boundary pushing through the area. So that's a look at the timing with that. If we break down the individual timing, you're going to see that we've got around 9 o'clock in the evening that things really start ramping up. You'll see some lightning off to the west, and then you'll see that rain chance really increasing as we go into the early morning hours on Thursday. Now, with that being said, here we are with, Fox should be on right now, but it's not because we got Game 3 of the World Series. Game 4, excuse me.
Yeah.
This is Game 4 of the World Series.
Hopefully the last game.
It doesn't appear that as of this point, if the game were to end, the Yankees would win Game 4. There will be a Game 5. Game 5 will be in the middle of severe weather potential. I am not a fan of that. I want this season. I want this World Series to end.
Yeah.
I'm so flustered about it that I can't even think and talk straight. I want the World Series to end tonight, so I don't have to deal with severe weather potential and live programming and recording and doing all this stuff with baseball. And we know you want to watch the World Series. You might not be impacted by the storms at all. But then again, this system won't be exactly isolated. There's going to be storms everywhere. So honestly, I'm hoping for a Dodgers sweep for Game 4 because then we would be in the clear. We wouldn't have to worry about it. We can cover severe weather, not have to worry about all the angry mobs that call in when we're covering up programming with a tornado warning. So, all right, that's my piece. I just got on my soapbox. I'll get off of it, but there's a look at the rain chances that are really popping up. As far as Halloween is going to be dry in the afternoon and evening. No problems trick-or-treating. I will say this. The temperatures may be colder than we expect, especially with this stout of a system. I've seen that before where you think it's going to be in the upper 60s and ends up being in the lower 60s and upper 50s and breezy, and not only that, but chilly. So there's a chance that this does get pretty chilly on Halloween evening. So we're going to be watching that, and we'll see what kind of materializes with that. Now, I wanted to show you saw the ingredients. We're going to look at what's called a significant tornado parameter. Significant tornado parameter is just basically a way for the model to say, okay, we've got all these ingredients. We're going to put them together as a recipe. And essentially, when we get this out of the oven, how tasty are the cookies going to be? I think that's a good way to put it. Because if you don't have all the ingredients in the exact, the exact amounts, the exact ingredients, then you're not going to have delicious chocolate chip cookies, are you?
And if you wait to mix certain ingredients, then the cookies don't come out the same either.
That's true.
If you just let the mixture set out on the counter for a while, it's not going to come out the same.
Or you burn the bottoms of the cookies.
That's the worst.
Yeah, that is the worst. That is a big. So, anyways, that's funny. Since there's a burn ban, lightning isn't allowed. Yeah, that's funny, buddy.
Yeah.
Well, lightning will be allowed, and there will be rain with it. I was mentioning that in the newscast tonight. So, there's going to be wet lightning, not dry lightning. Something else. Mindy said, timing and how severe for Rogers. Well, let's get into that, and I'll show you what we're looking at here. So this is that significant tornado parameter, and the significant tornado parameter at 7 o'clock starts to increase. But when the low-level jet really starts to ramp up, which, by the way, is an area of winds that's very strong, and you'll see here Wednesday night, look at that. That is a bullseye right there in extreme northeast Oklahoma. Flint Creek, someone was watching from there.
Yeah.
That is pretty close to the bullseye for storms and tornado potential. So that's something that we got to watch. And then after that, that system starts to move on out. So, yes, it decreases, but that's going to be something to watch. And then if we look at all the ingredients are really pretty favorable, to be honest with you. If we look at the EHI, this is the Energy Helicity Index. You're going to see right here, that really cranks up. Look at that. We got red shades right there, which shows you that you're in the upper echelon of the Energy Helicity Index scale. Low level is already pretty stout, and we have a lot of moisture too, the return that's taken place. You can feel that mugginess. In fact, let's look at the dew points. I think we're in the low 60s probably right now. Well, no, only mid to upper 50s. So the real deep moisture hasn't returned yet. And that is expected throughout the afternoon tomorrow. Not here necessarily until tomorrow night. Oh, yeah, look. Okay. So you got 59 in Shreveport, but look at the yellow and orange shades. That is pretty interesting to watch. And that low level jet will transport that moisture northward. So there's a couple things here. Number one, this is a great question by Mason. Any failure modes or points you can see, that is just basically telling you, hey, is there anything that would lessen the severe weather potential? Always.
Yeah, always.
Every time. And that includes, and I'll mention a few of them. Number one, we get some prefrontal convection, meaning we get rain and thunderstorms that can happen because of the extreme lift that's off to the west, which would decrease the amount of instability in the evening, which would limit the isolated surface-based cells that are ahead of the line, which would lessen the severe weather potential. So it's kind of like a domino effect. What else do you think, Peyton?
Well, another one is when the nocturnal low-level jet kicks in and the front may be too far behind or have already passed, then the ingredients won't line up as well.
Meaning that wind shear.
Yes, the wind shear will be a lot weaker, which I guess lessens the tornado threat, but the stout lift will still be there for some strong storms.
For some storms. We are getting rain. There's absolutely no doubt about that. And you remember last week we were mentioning, in fact, 2 weeks ago when we had the drought conditions, we were like, folks, it's going to change at the end of October. The end of October, we're going to see a pattern change. Absolutely, Frank. I agree 100%. Let's go Dodgers. I want the Dodgers to win game 4. The World Series is over. We don't have to deal with severe weather and the World Series tomorrow. So let's break down again the headlines on what we can have here and what we can expect. So we'll start you off with very mild and breezy overnight. Did you know that we broke a record low this morning? And you're like,
warmest.
Well, wait a minute, a record low.
Yeah.
The warmest record low, meaning the coolest the morning got, essentially, which wasn't very cool because it was 67. So that 68.
Yeah.
That was the low, 68 degrees this morning, which, by the way, was way underdone by the models. So that's another thing too. The instability could be less than on the models than what actually takes place because the temperatures aren't looking good. Trick-or-treating, Jeremy, is looking great. We mentioned that. You must have just hopped on, but trick-or-treating is looking good because the storms come through in the early morning hours. All right. Next headline, rain is likely Wednesday into Thursday, but it also comes with severe weather potential. Half inch to an inch of rain, not out of the question. You've got more rain chances next week. Now, here's something that a weather savvy person said, and this is Alex Hall. He knows a lot about storms, one of our storm spotters. Great guy. He's saying some of those critical angles are pretty impressive from the models. Now, you got to be careful, Alex, saying that the critical angle is impressive because the low-level shear is impressive. But if we look at the photographs, sometimes the critical angle doesn't line up because you have a storm motion that has to be included. And I will show you what I mean by that. So we'll do the old famous, this better not. Okay, good. I was going to say it. So we go upper air, Arkansas. I don't even think this has it, does it? Yeah, they don't.
What? Critical
The
angle?
Hodos. Yeah,
No.
you got to go to WeatherCon.
Or Pivotal.
Yeah, Pivotal has it. Stand by here. I'm going to load this up and show you what I'm looking at. So basically what I'm describing is that the low-level shear, and this is the newest 0Z too, so we can look at that and check that out. Oh, come
I just love when it logs you out of everything.
I know. Why does it do that all the time? It's like, quit logging us out. And then when you log in, Then it has to go back to the very beginning. It defaults to the GFS, and then you're
And then
going all the way
single
back.
image.
Yep. Then you go into a forecast loop. Then we go into severe weather and photographs.
Base Cape.
Okay. So I'm going to bring this up for you so you guys can see it. And I'll explain what he means by critical angle. We're going to kind of get into the weeds. It's seventh inning, and so seventh inning stretch here. So, all right, this is a look at, as we take a look here at the HRRR. So this is the HRRR. This is the surface-based Cape. Obviously nothing right now. But when we get into tomorrow, now you're seeing this, and yes, it does look impressive. Because that's a straight line photograph in the lowest levels. You got 1,000 Cape. This is, by the way, later on in the evening tomorrow. And then the storm comes through. So pretty impressive critical angle, right? Well, let's see. Let's click on Fayetteville and let's see if it truly is. So you'll notice the critical angle is actually about 58 degrees. And that's because, well, that shear vector starting to bend a little bit. But here's a little bit of a better one, 74. But honestly, is the storm motion going to be this, or is it going to be more of this, which is the mean motion, which I kind of tend to believe with that southwesterly flow, your critical angle is going to be more northeast. So if it's more northeast, you have less than 90 on the critical angle. Less than 90 is okay, but it's not as good as 90, but it is better than over 90. And what I mean by angle is it's this angle right here. And basically, I know there's a lot of haters on the critical angle. I don't know why it is, but there's just a ton of haters that are just like, no, that's not true. That doesn't happen. No, the critical angle. What we're saying essentially is the measure of streamwise vorticity that's going into the storm. So how much is that horizontal shear going to get tilted up into the vertical? That's what we're talking about, which is essentially a measure of it using the critical angle. So, I hope the Dodgers win so bad. Going back to our sounding, pretty impressive sounding. Not the best instability parameter. Remember, this is Fayetteville, so Fayetteville typically doesn't have a good of a sounding. That's a Cape robber right there. We'll see if that actually comes true. Regardless, we've got some severe weather potential. That's capped right there in the evening hours, so that's not going to produce storms. But the shear is there. I mean, the shear is impressive. There's no doubt about it. It's a pretty strong low-level jet, and this does kind of remind me of some other past storm events that we have to watch for. So let's go ahead and we'll look at some stuff here as we go back to our weather graphics. I want to show you what we've got for the jet stream. This is what I mean by those critical angles may not line up perfectly. And that's because we have southwesterly flow. So here's what we've got. Let me go back to our time here. That's southwesterly flow. That's Wednesday morning. And then you can see that the nose of the jet comes in a little bit. But you've got a lot less westerlies here compared to here over Kansas, which is why they have that enhanced risk. Because remember, the jet stream is going to kind of follow these ISO heights pretty close to it. Not exactly, but pretty close. So here you have southwesterly flow. That means your storm motions will most likely be northeast, which means your critical angle may be a little less than 90. If we look at a different model here, let's look at a graph model. We'll take a look at this, and you'll notice here Wednesday evening, here comes the line. And look, now maybe individual cells in the line move easterly, which would be favorable. You have to move them actually kind of northeasterly. That doesn't develop any type of isolated activity ahead of the line, except when it gets east of here and in the river valley. So you see some of those isolated cells. John says, how does this compare to the Memorial Day event? Doesn't even compare. Not even close. The reason is because that had a tremendous amount of instability. The parameters were absolutely off the charts.
A lot more upper level divergence.
A lot more upper level divergence. You had westerlies aloft. There's so many things that are different. But I can tell you what this does remind me of. This event does remind me of October 21st, 2019. October 21st, 2019 was an event that produced a 31.4 mile tornado track that went through Benton County. And I will show you. It was expected to be brief spin-ups, but October 21st, 2019 also produced an EF3, I do believe, in either EF2 or EF3. We'll find out. October 20th through the 21st in Dallas, and it was on a Sunday night, and it looks like it was EF3. I was right. So there's the EF3 right there that was produced north of Dallas, on the north side of Dallas, just narrowly missing Cowboy Stadium.
What time was it at?
That was in the evening. So that was about, I'm going to say
What time does it say?
I'm going to say 8:30. And the time was, there it is, 1:58. So that's close to 9 o'clock. So about 9 o'clock in the evening when the low-level jet kicked in. Now, here's the cool thing about this. Let me make sure that we're on this.
I might have been on I-45 at that time.
Yeah?
In Dallas.
Oh,
I think
wow.
it was fall break freshman year.
October 21st, 2019.
I think so.
So let's go to, this is called Tornado Archive. And what's cool about it is there's the track, one tornado that touched down southwest of Siloam Springs, and there's the other one. This is one that was an EF2, 31.4 miles, 2,640 yards. Not a brief spin up. There were injuries. Doesn't show them, but there were. And if we look at this, we can look at the environment that that system had, which is cool. So I do believe that's going to work. If we go here and we'll look at the surface-based CAPE and photographs. So let's see what type of environment this system had and see if it's comparable to what we had, what we have tomorrow night. Now you'll notice here, so the tornado happened at 5Z. And so you're going to notice, hey, look at that. Pretty impressive angle, but also at the same time, that's more backed. Do you guys see that? Surface winds are more out of the southeast. So if we go to this model, surface winds are out of the south. South winds with the same type of environment will not be a critical angle that's favorable to 90 degrees. Sure, you look at this and it's impressive. You look at this and it's impressive. But remember, it's all about the storm motion. That's why I think a lot of people with this, that was an aerial sounding. That was weird. I guess you can't move it. Oh, yeah. I don't know why I'm doing that. I got to zoom out a little bit. I was moving it like it was a map.
Yeah.
Sorry. That was just a habit. There's the instability. It's a tongue of instability. It will return. But people see these critical angles, but that's not the critical angle. All that is the shear. You got to remember to have the storm motion added to it, which is what's cool about this. This shows the storm motions.
Yeah.
So, but this isn't exactly the photograph either, because it's not an easterly wind. It's southeasterly. So really, honestly, it's a little misleading how they draw those photographs. But anyways, regardless, there you see the critical angle is pretty impressive. If we look at some other information here, let's look at this model and see what it has, and it's no data available. Look at the 500 winds. They're out of the southeast. And look at the jet streak that comes in. You see that right there? You can noticeably see that jet streak that rips in right about tornado time. Right there. Very noticeable and very intense system. Let's go to the 850 millibar winds and look at that jet coming in. Woo-wee! It's a strong one.
Yeah.
So that's 50
60.
knots. Yeah.
Flag and a stick.
That's I was looking over over where the tornado was. But yeah, 50 knots, 60 knots, 55 knots. So the flag is 50, and the little half barb is 5, and the longer barb is 10. So you have essentially 50 knots right there.
Mhm.
And that's just an hour before the tornado. And then you can see the winds increase even more. So that's a lot of low level winds. So let's go to our model and let's see what we've got for upper air. And let's do upper air and look at the 850 winds. What do you think?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. It's pretty much the same.
Yeah, but notice the direction.
Yeah,
Kind of the south-southwest.
south southwest. When we look at this, it's more southerly, but that's also south southwest there
Okay.
too.
Never mind. I was thinking it was more southwest as opposed to
Yeah.
southwest.
Yeah, so kind of similar in the
similar.
speed. Okay, so let's go to let's look at the dew points. What were the dew points for that time of the year?
60.
Yep,
Good night.
60.
Pretty up there.
But look at the backed winds. The backed winds
Yeah.
is where it's at. That's where the tornado potential is going to be. Did the models have backed winds? I kind of remember they didn't. So that's why you look at this, and we can't see comments right now, but we'll get to them. I know you're commenting away, and we'll kind of do a quick update on all the stuff. But that's that's what I want right there. So let's look at the winds here, and notice how they're not as backed, so they're more southerly. But is that just the model? Possibly, because if there's just a little backing of the winds and a localized low pressure develops, then you've got a favorable critical angle for tornadoes. And then what was something else I was going to look at? I don't remember.
Don't either.
Oh yeah, the dew point. We
Oh,
wanted to look at the dew point
yeah.
here. Let's see if it's in the 60s. Yep, it is. In fact, it gets into the mid to upper 60s.
It's a very similar
That's trouble.
kind of setup.
Yeah. Wow. Mid to upper 60 dew points.
Yeah.
I don't like this when the moisture surges straight from the south.
Mm.
I've seen a lot of events. This also reminds me kind of a little bit of, to be honest with you, it reminds me a little bit of December 31st, 2010. That
Oh.
system was pretty intense. That was the Cincinnati tornado. And then it also reminds me too of one more event that happened November 4th, 2022. No, not an environment like March 31st. Remember, those were violent supercells. We're
Yeah.
talking supercells, daytime. The environment, no. So, do you think a tornado is a possibility tomorrow night? I do. Yeah, I do. Looking at these ingredients, and I know you're like, oh, but it hasn't rained in over a month. True. But think about how warm we are.
Yeah. Insanely warm.
Yeah, super warm. I had a memory pop up on a Facebook from the tornado a few weeks ago. That storm wasn't messing around. No. Oh, how I missed these lives. So educational. Well, thank you, Shayla. When there's nothing to talk about, there's no reason to be live, right? Man, we're almost to the end of the ninth here. Top of the eighth.
It's been picking up.
How about Crawford County? So yeah, severe weather potential there as well. All right, let's go back to, why not? Let's go back to our model here. And then we're going to take a look at also the tornado archive. And let's just for grins put in November 4th of 2022.
Filters.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you. I was looking for it. What?
Oh, we have
There
to go
it is.
back.
Temporal. There we go. So we're going to go November 4th, 2022. There it is.
Whoa.
Yeah, dude. Wicked day.
Yeah.
A lot of tornadoes around here too, and they were QLCS tornadoes. And look at the time. It was 0Z. I remember that. That was a wild one. That was the one by sunset that touched down. Then you had Green Forest that was at night. So all those storms were really cranking up, and that was a big one. But again, look at the backed winds. Winds are out of the southeast. Those backed winds are the key with this type of environment because look at the way the storms are moving. They're moving northeast, southwest to northeast.
Yep.
No deviant motion on that. That's what I think personally we will have tomorrow. So let's zoom out a little bit. Let's take a look at the jet stream.
That's almost perpendicular. The southeast winds,
Yeah.
and the northeast storm motion.
And see, look, there's the big trough coming in. By the way, this is a large trough too.
That's almost the exact same kind of placement of the trough.
Yeah, I'll show you here. It's a little bit more north on tomorrow.
Yeah, a little bit more north.
Yeah, so yeah. They don't have a jet stream?
Yeah.
Not with the HRRR.
Oh. Huh.
Silly. Upper air dynamics. Yeah, see, 700, 850.
Upper air, height, wind, and temperature.
No, 500.
Yeah. Huh.
Oh, well, they have 500 too. So let's see what we got. And see how it's a little bit more north?
Yeah.
The position of it for tomorrow is a little bit more north. That's a deeper trough.
Yeah.
Which is why if you look east of the trough where the tornado potential was, oh, by the way, that's exactly the right quadrant too. Oh, man, what a storm. That was wicked. And also it was turning negative tilt too. If we go back to this is a little bit more north, but still pretty impressive trough. Now, if we look at this, the bullseye of the severe weather potential is going to be right here. So let's see. That's after it got boundaried, obviously. Yep. Let's go back to about 21Z here. Not contaminated. But look at the critical angle. That's the 90. The winds have to be back. That's basically the ingredient that's going to be missing. So here's the deal, folks. If you want to know about tornado potential tomorrow, if you are seeing and experiencing southeasterly winds, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
Duck tornadoes. How do you say that?
Dr. Toad.
Dr. Toads. I like that. I like my winds back and my motion's 90 degrees to the oh no hodo. It sounds like a rap we got going on there. Wind was crazy doing exercises at 7 o'clock. Yeah, we should look at the water vapor while we're at it. Let's check it out. I've got it loaded up on here. I had it on the first forecast. Oh, yeah, tease.
But something with the southeast winds out of the surface, something to keep an eye on is how far the high pressure that is off to our east moves further east or west, if it builds or not.
That's true. That's true. All right, so here's the water vapor. Very impressive system. So it is a bowling ball low, and honestly, I don't like bowling ball lows. I like when little short waves move in with energy. And there will be, because you can see multiple, Baja Blast. Haven't said that in a while, have we?
It's Denton. Dr. Toads is Denton.
Is it really?
Yeah. It's German for Dr. Death.
Oh, nice. Dr. Death.
It's probably not Toads. It's German.
Watching live from the couch. As always, thank you for amazing education. I appreciate that, Thomas. I was reading that right there. Which, by the way, that's why we got Twitter Premium, so we can stream, because they don't let you stream without Twitter Premium.
So annoying.
It's annoying, but gotta bite the bullet there. So here's a look at that low pressure system. You can see it lifting northward, and then there is more energy that's rounding the base of the trough.
There's even more in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, and then there's more. We'll talk about that as well. We got more rain coming.
Chat, we're cooked.
So, brother. All right. Let's go back to this. And I want to go back to the Data Explorer and look at a couple other things with this. So, how do the photographs look on this night? Let's see. Well, you can barely see them, but oh yeah, they're there. But once again, look at that. Critical angle is 90 degrees. That's because of the back surface winds. The backed winds is the key, man.
Yeah.
In fact, let's do this real quick. Let's go to temporal. Let's look at December 31st, 2010. And let's see if there were backed winds on this day. Probably got to go back a little bit more. It's not going to let me. That's weird. It's not letting me. Oh, well. Can we do this? Nothing. You know what? I got an idea. Filter. I'll go December 30th through the 31st, 2010.
Yeah.
There you go. Now we can go to the environment. Now we can get it. All right. So going back, well, maybe not.
Well, all right.
Not as much of a back surface flow, is it? So, but that's right at the time of the tornado. It's not letting me go back anymore. So I think it was backed before those winds started to shift when the trough axis moved out. Which, by the way, look at the instability. It's pretty limited.
Yeah.
850 winds are off the charts, though.
Huh.
50 knots again. 500 millibar winds, very strong. Dew points are in the low 60s. I remember that. Temperature was very warm, too, in the 60s. So, all right.
All these favorable environments.
Very.
They're very similar environments, too.
Let's get to we got probably a lot of questions here. So let's kind of scroll through here and see what we got. So we already went through all those. Greenwood. Greenwood has the potential for not only fires, but also severe weather too.
Yeah.
Greenwood had the fire this afternoon.
Quickly contained, too.
Will lightning be a fire danger? Well, not that type of lightning, just to let you know. Sorry, I had to say it. I
saw it. I was like, all right, is he going to bring it up?
I had to say it. Yes. Because lightning is not spelled with an E. Because that's lightening, which essentially is a drop of the uterus. It's when your baby starts to be born. Look it up, man. Lightening. So hopefully there's no lightning in the middle of the severe weather that's happening.
All right.
Now, Tiffany, it's fine. People make the mistake all the time. It's common, but lightning is without the E. So just the more you know. I learn something new every day too. If the line moves southeast and the low-level jet kicks in from the south, there are things that can definitely change some stuff. So glad I don't have to see the Astros in another World Series.
Yeah, I knew Brennan was going to say something like that.
You knew that was coming. It's always a possibility the tornado threat can decrease. Number one, we can get a lot of cloud cover. Temperatures remain really cool. Instability isn't as great. The system lifts northward. Storms just don't flat out develop. There's so many things that can alter a severe weather forecast. Just like when you're baking. You put baking powder instead of baking soda, you're cooked.
Yeah. No, it's true.
It's true. I learned that the hard way. I thought it was the same thing, interchangeable. Baking soda, baking powder. I didn't have baking powder, so I put baking soda in there and say new.
Yeah, it says for baking. So,
yeah. All right. Do you have wheels on your couch?
Well, somebody said, they were stuck to the couch.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Flint Ridge, they saw that being right in the bullseye. So we'll have to watch that. Let's go Dodgers. Go. All right. Trick-or-treating. Everything's looking good for trick-or-treating, and we'll show you that real quick because we haven't really took a look at the extended forecast. What's up?
No, I'm saying that's true. I haven't looked at it.
Oh, yeah.
Trick-or-treating time.
because this is where we stopped. We went off on a major tangent when Alex asked about critical angles. we geeked out big time. But there's two systems. Notice all the Baja blast energy that's coming in. Each one of those short waves could form a little bit of storm activity. The bulk of the energy is north. That's where the greatest forcing is going to be, is in Kansas, which is why they have the enhanced risk and the hatched area for tornadoes there. Makes sense. But then look at what happens as this lags. We got more energy, big, huge dip in the jet stream. That's a giant bowling ball low. That's going to produce some pretty heavy rain and maybe even some severe weather potential. Oh, no.
Towards the
I
north.
see it. Yeah, but that's a little farther south. And look at what day that is.
Tuesday.
What's Tuesday? There's something going on Tuesday. Can anybody tell me in the comments what's going on Tuesday? Next Tuesday. Gosh, I just think I don't see anything on it.
Nope.
Right?
Nothing rings a bell.
Nothing comes to mind. Can't remember next Tuesday. Oh well. If it comes to me, I'll talk about it. But there's a look at the energy that's coming in, and then you can see all the storms that will be happening, and then another wave of energy comes in. So we've got
a cutoff upper level low.
We got active weather that's
Batting
coming
down the
our way.
hatches, build an arc.
So here's the energy that comes in tomorrow. This is the European model. Storms likely in the early morning hours. So we're going to be up late at night. We're going to keep you up. Well, we won't keep you up. The storms are going to keep you up. We will stay up with you. How about that? We won't keep you up. But if you're watching us, that might keep you up. And then as we move into our Thursday afternoon, look at that. Great weather for Halloween. Absolutely gorgeous.
A little bit cooler, not as cold as last year. That was like freezing.
Yeah.
It was like, upper 30s? This one's going to be more mild.
Yeah, this one's going to be not nearly as cold. That was chilly. Here's Saturday. Notice the morning is looking good for the Razorback game, but then things start to go downhill Saturday night and into Sunday. Sunday and Monday, that's when we see that more energy moves in. Remember, that energy could easily change. So we'll be watching that closely. And let's look at, while we've got it, the 7-day precipitation forecast, because it's pretty stout. They increased that again. That's increased. That orange, or is it the same?
Looks the same.
Does it?
It's a little less.
Less?
Yeah, about the same. Still 3 to 5 inches.
Yeah. That's a 7-day precipitation forecast.
Yeah.
So 3 to 5 inches.
So that's spread out throughout the next little while.
Let's see here. How's Crawford and Sebastian County looking? We're good at that. Joshua says this is a while ago. If he's still on, you're a half hour in. I appreciate you hanging around. Are we going to have an extended period of severe weather? It looks like it. Yeah. No, the church 7:00. Probably no storms at that point. Yeah, some earlier photographs in Tulsa, pretty impressive. It's not looking good for the Dodgers, is it, this game? Gosh darn it. I don't want a game 5. Just don't. Okay, Deer and Limestone, Donna, if you're still on here, yes. Will Fayetteville get rain? Shout out to Will Holland. And yes, Fayetteville will get rain. In fact, every single square inch of the area is going to get rain. Check this out.
Unless Colby's here.
Well, even maybe the Colby effect doesn't exist anymore. Maybe we droughted out the Colby effect. Possible.
Yeah, I think that definitely getting
some rain. Now, whether it's going to be a whole lot at this point, that remains to be seen. But I mean, every single square inch of the area is going to get rain. Was that the crazy hail? Well, we've had some crazy hail. Amy says, no, we don't need a repeat of that. So the crazy hail day you're talking about was May 26th. That was a big hail that fell on that. And then there was May 4th of 2020 that produced some massive hail. How about this? Josh says, I was there in Dallas, under it as it formed overhead. touchdown by accident at a concert. EF3, I'll never forget. Most lightning I've ever seen with a supercell. And I'll tell you this, the lightning for our area on October 21st, it was tremendous. Have you ever seen it?
No,
No?
I've seen the lightning May
Okay.
26th.
Hold on. Well, this was just as impressive. Stand by.
Stand by for Game 5.
Nah.
I agree.
All righty. Oh, look at that wedge.
Whoa.
Yeah. That was a Siloam Springs tornado. Are you not going to play the video? Ah, there it is. Okay. Let me bring this up. So this is Siloam Springs. Well, in the meantime, here's what it looked like on archive. That's what the tornado was forming. You can see that rotation track.
Yeah.
And then you can see all this. There's the rotation right there showing up. But let's go down, back down to here. What? All right. This is almost over, this ad. Here we go. Check out this lightning right here. Oh, I don't know if you're even seeing it. Yep, you are. So this was just to let you know, this was on the morning of October 21st, 2019. You're going to see me walk in front here. This is when the storm was approaching Siloam Springs at about midnight. So this is an archived radar view, and you can see the amount of lightning. That's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, that is pretty impressive.
That's an impressive lightning show. And it just gets worse. And you can also see the striations in the updraft.
Yeah, that's more what I'm staring at.
Yeah. And power flashes, too. The camera instantly moves towards that. Some of these looked a lot like power flashes. There's the tornado warning that just gets issued at about midnight. And there I am pointing out that area of rotation. That was an impressive. Wait till you see some of these cloud to ground lightning strikes, some of the lightning bolts that are in there. So remember, this storm had similar ingredients to what we'll see tomorrow. It's just all about those backed winds. If we see the backed winds, everything else is the same, regardless that we've had this drought for so long. This could still be an issue.
I'll be looking in the morning. One of those winds.
Yeah. Because if they're backed, that would line up with the critical angles. Wait till you see some of these lightning bolts here. They just start shooting out of the sky like crazy. I mean, the lightning is almost constant. That was an intense storm. And that was at midnight. So we know all about storms in the overnight hours. While we're doing that, we had horrible winds at Bella Vista in 2019, lost power for 4 days. And then there was November 30th of 2018. That was also a bad storm. In fact, we should look at that because that was in the River Valley. While we're continuing to watch that video here, let's go back to real quick. I'll let that run in the background. And let's do that. Let's go to November 30th, 2018. So this is another pretty impressive day. And hey, lo and behold, what kind of winds do we have?
Southeast.
Southeast, backed. Check this out. So this was the this is the environment. Southeast winds. And let's look at the dew points. Yep, dew points are approaching 60, which is exactly what we'll have tomorrow. The time of these tornadoes were at night, so 5:09. The lightning was impressive on this one too. This day, we had a Christmas party on this day, and as soon as people were arriving, I had to leave. And sure enough, wow, look at those winds. at 500, and then look at 850. Pretty impressive trough. Wow, that is a big trough.
Yeah.
So that was a big system.
No way.
Yeah.
3-run home run.
We are going to a game 5, folks.
I hate the Yankees. Hate the Dodgers too, but I also hate the Yankees.
Well, now that we've got that, let's go back to this tornado here and see what we got. So this is where the radar started doing something funky. Keep
Like
going
similar
here.
to what we saw on was that May 7th or 8th?
Well, this was weird. There was something wrong with the switcher, and then they had to change it around. And then at this point, watch them drop. The tornado warning gets dropped. Watch this. You're gonna see it disappear here. Where is it? So we're up. And this is after now. This is when it's touching down. This is when it's starting to go nuts. Yeah. Here you got. There you have a tornado on the ground. And you can actually see it. There's the edge of it. That's the edge of the tornado going across. And you're going to see all these power lines that are just exploding on the backside of it. This is where that lightning goes absolutely berserk. So, anyways, pretty impressive storm. Go back to some comments here because we're getting close to the end of this game. Will people in or around Bella Vista area need to prepare tomorrow night? Yeah, that's a possibility. I'm not saying it is for sure, but I'm saying it's a possibility. Thank you, Shayla. I appreciate it. If you're still on here, it was awesome to win on Saturday. So, what's the actual likelihood of tornadoes tomorrow? Well, it's hard to say the likelihood of it. I mean, a tornado is not likely in itself, but this type of environment could produce some. One thing that concerns me is how dry the ground is. I won't soak in water for a little while. Plus, all the leaves are falling as storm drains. Very true. Those are all ingredients that can really cause an issue, including blocking that runoff and the storm drains, where you can have tremendous amounts of rainfall. Now, Valonia is a little farther east, so Valonia is not going to be as much impacted as Northwest Arkansas. Storms will be developing. Should I get a hotel room for the night? Trace, just be watching the radar and keep an eye on it, but maybe have a backup plan, because if you are camping, I wouldn't be camping tomorrow night. I think it's going to be pretty dangerous. I think you're going to be putting yourself at risk if you're camping tomorrow night. Will there likely be there will likely be a man with a large inflatable duck floating the streets of Fayetteville.
All right.
It's possible. Josh going to be chasing? That's a good question. I don't know. All right, wind was crazy. I already saw that. Water vapor looks impressive. Oh, yeah. That event, by the way, was May 26th. Oh, the high risk. No, the high risk was
May
7th?
Wait.
No.
This year?
No. It was for Oklahoma.
There was that day, was it May 20th, like 2019?
No.
That was the epic bust.
They're talking about in this. Yeah, that was May 2019. That was an epic bust for them, but then it went nuts for us.
Yeah.
Get the blasts ready. Tornadoes in Sulphur, Arkansas. I mean, we'll see that. So, Teddy, but you've been on it for about 20 minutes. Yes, the tornado threat seems to be increasing, but it also depends on the amount of backed winds, meaning the winds need to be from the southeast and not south for tornado potential. December 31st had one storm that caused issues. I do remember there were being several storms that were tornado warned. Yep. Do you know what time it's supposed to be hitting Deer and Limestone? So it's a good question. I'm thinking around like 4 a.m. Maybe like 3 a.m. What do you think?
Yeah, between 3 and 4.
Yeah, I would give a 2 to 4 a.m. window Donna. Nothing new from the tornado in Bentonville, or at least a potential tornado. Nothing new on that. Let's
legend.
see here. What about Van Buren? My husband chases them, and what time do you think it will hit Van Buren? So Van Buren is going to be in the early morning hours again too, but there could be an isolated cell that's around midnight that we'll have to watch, like 10, 11 o'clock, and then additional storms that are popping up that are moving in the early morning hours. All right, Mike. Yes, you can get a quick recap. This is what we've got going on. Just bring up the weather graphics here. So this is what we've got. Severe weather potential Wednesday night. We've got a severe weather risk. This will be updated. This will be updated at 1 o'clock in the morning tomorrow on October 30th. A level 1, level 2, 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Damaging winds, large hail, and low tornado threat. I say low tornado threat just because that's what it actually is highlighted as. As you'll see, we zoom out a little bit. You'll see the actual tornado threat. And according to this, the way we advertise it is a 2% is very low and a 5% is essentially low. That's just the way we word it. Because if we were to say a 2% tornado risk, you're probably thinking 2% out of 100, which is a 98% chance it won't
Sweet.
tornado. Yeah, that's not bad.
Great.
That's not how it works.
Nope.
So there is that low tornado risk. And I always say this, and kind of, it's pretty common when people say the main threat is going to be this, and tornadoes are not the main threat. Well, that's because tornadoes are the most rare.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have thunderstorms coming in, they produce winds, they produce hail, they produce very heavy rain and lightning. Those are all threats that are pretty common. The tornado threat isn't as common, so it's always low until it actually happens. Then it's not low anymore. Here is a look at the timing to break it down for you. We got 90% for the chance of precipitation. Notice how it's after midnight, early morning hours. So that's what we're looking for. Oh, hey, how about that? Here's another one. This is cool. Lightening in aviation are the holes in the aircraft frames. They lighten the weight.
There you go.
But it's not lightning.
Yeah.
Oh, how's NATO?
Oh, he's doing great.
Is he?
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, daylight saving. Yeah, daylight saving, by the way, is this Saturday night before you go to bed.
Sunday,
early morning.
3 a.m. It
Yep.
falls back to 2 or 3 a.m.
I made this graphic, by the way.
What, daylight saving?
Yeah, daylight saving.
Which,
Check this out. The clock goes back. Remember how it didn't go back?
Yeah.
Now it goes back. Whoop. So turn those clocks back Sunday at 2 a.m. Goes back to Central Standard Time. But if you have a clock that automatically does it, you don't have to do anything. Change smoke detector batteries.
Yeah, I heard that's a good time to do it.
That's a great time to remember to do it. Spend $20 on a couple batteries.
Last thing you want is beep
Yeah.
in the middle of the night.
Mercedes freaks out at that. Then you got extra hour of sleep. That's awesome. Sunsets an hour earlier at 5:18. Not a fan of that.
That's true.
Oh, that's what it is. Election day on Tuesday. Of course.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I forgot. I haven't seen much
No.
on that.
Too much World Series.
I know. I was just joking, obviously. I've already voted, actually, too. P Ridge could see storms. Yeah, good question. Pretty decent question. Can the topography of parts of northwest Arkansas cause the winds to back and set some updrafts into motion? I would say I don't know, to be honest with you. That's kind of tough. That's a small scale. Now, I will say this. Topography does back the winds in the river valley when you have an easterly drainage wind. So, Cammy, we showed the timing of this.
After midnight.
Me,
about 4
Linus,
a.m.
Tycho, and Bolt are watching from a VR chat. I like this VR chat stuff that Jacob does. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I have not gotten my Oculus. I still call it Oculus, just like I call it Twitter.
Same thing.
Just me. But anyways, I love that. That's the one that hit me. Chris Brown says, I think these cells in 2019 had more lightning than Memorial Day supercell here this year. And that was an insane amount of lightning. Never seen anything like it in my life. And that, remember, lightning is caused from the collisions of water and ice particles. And when you get colder temperatures aloft in the wintertime with a lot of dynamics, you can get some highly electrified storms because the collision of ice particles is more because you're cooling quicker.
Yeah.
No, not at this point, Edgar. It's too early, but the shear is there for strong tornadoes. So, what's the timing on the rain? We mentioned that. There is a picture of you with the wedge. Yeah. You know all about that storm. So we'll know by tomorrow afternoon if the winds are backed. Yep. But it's really tomorrow evening that we got to be watching if the winds are backed. Better get some rest. Busy day tomorrow. We need a Colby effect scale, 1 to 5 in inhibition
Colby
units.
inhibition.
That's fun. You're true. Well, it was like a machine gun with all those light poles coming down. That was the October 21st, 2019. Mets for the risk area are not. I'm not thrilled. Yankees up 10-4. Yep.
I think it's 11-4 now.
That Eastern Oklahoma tornado was crazy in 2018. That was the November 30th. Called my grandma and get out of her mobile home and seek better shelter. She lived in Watts. I saw the debris signature. Oh yeah, that was rough. I will never forget that May tornado. I was in the hallway with a baseball helmet, pillow blanket on me. Riley and Chip was in the hot and dog cage and so nervous. I believe it. That was just a scary night. By the looks of it, be up here all tomorrow night. Yeah, you're seeing that as well. What time do you think it'll hit Van Buren? We actually just mentioned that, but we've got those storms coming in after midnight, most likely. Could be a little before, but most likely after midnight. Anything you want to add, Peyton, while we're answering some questions?
Maybe just 30 minutes to an hour later than Bentonville.
Yeah.
So you kind of have a heads up if you're following along.
Yeah, that's a good point. Situational awareness, right?
Mhm.
I had a dream Sunday night about a tornado. Uh-oh. Well, I have dreams all the time about tornadoes, but when someone doesn't normally dream about tornadoes, just got on where and when. Well, this is why we're going to do this for you, Ashley. So you've only been on here about 8 minutes, so we're not too far behind now on the comments. There's a look at all the storms that are coming in tomorrow. We'll take a look at each model run and different model runs. So we'll pop that off of there, Ashley, let you know. There's the isolated storms, but things could get pretty rowdy in north central Oklahoma at 10 o'clock. So this is going to be after dark. It's going to be a late night tomorrow night. We'll get you through it. We'll cover the storms. You know the deal. Just have your safe place picked out now. Want to go downstairs underneath something, center of the house, keep away from windows. That's your DUCK acronym. That's the best way to take shelter from a tornado. Then the line comes through, and for some reason, this front does a weird, kink thing.
I noticed that for the longest time.
It just does.
Gonna let it happen.
Yeah, just forget it. And here's a look at the SIG TOR parameter, and you'll see that ramping up as it gets closer. Bullseye in northeast Oklahoma.
44.
And that is the reason for that is you got potential backed winds, got strong low level shear, got instability, and storm motions that potentially could line up with that critical angle. Now, another thing too is that it might not just be supercells, because when you have a line normal to the 0 to 3 kilometer bulk shear, that's when you get mesovortices. And that's a whole different thing compared to mesocyclones. They're quick to develop. They're often unwarned. They can sneak up quickly. We've done a lot of research on them. that you got to have a balanced UDCZ in order to see those tornadoes. Because if you're not balanced, which by the way, I still think it'd be cool to make a graphic. on that. I'll show you what I mean by that. We'll shut this Facebook Live here pretty soon down. But there's the storms coming through. And if we look at, again, the risk for Halloween evening, nada. Zip, zero, zilch, nothing. Storms will be long gone by Halloween afternoon. I'm in the yellow for the tornado risk. Ooh, Sniper Boy, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is going to be, that hatched area, potentially. It's actually 25 miles of a point. 5% chance of a tornado within 25 miles of any given point, not 50. I promise you. I know that. Don't believe me?
I'm having like
You
a
don't believe me?
Mandela effect.
He's not believing me here.
I believe you. I think it's different for hatched, isn't it?
10% for hatched. It's 10% for hatched. So let me show you here. SPC. Bring it up.
1 out. 2 outs remaining. Yeah. Hatched 10%.
Or greater probability within 25 miles of a point. So bring this up. There you go, right here. I'll highlight it right here. Probability of a tornado within 25 miles of a point, and then it's a 10% or greater probability within 25 miles of a point for the hatched areas. Yeah. And when we go back here, there's that hatched area for tornado potential.
Which they're experimenting with double hatched.
Yeah, I saw that. Now, here's the thing, though. What's interesting is I want to go back in time here and show you that, well, this is the first time they actually introduced the tornado potential, but not necessarily, because if we go back here and look at the previous convective outlook,
Two outs.
We're almost here. Come on. 7. Oh, I have to go to 7. 2008. We're going to retrieve the outlooks. Does this not work anymore? There we go. So if we look at the, was it just all day one? Oh well,
could be one pitch away.
Today's outlooks. I guess they're not showing it. But anyways, it didn't have, it only had a large 5%, and then that was it. There we go. Finally, right here. So there's the day 2.
Yeah.
And that's actually not even the right one.
You can change the lights there.
Because this was the day 3 right here.
No.
There you go. So there's the probabilistic right there. And then here we go. That's what I'm looking for. The day 2 right here. That's not right. I'm looking for 1029 on the day 2. Doesn't have it. I guess it hasn't archived yet. Oh well. Scrap it. Sorry about that. We're doing some all right. So anyways.
And ball game.
Ball game. When will we know the winds are back? It's gonna be tomorrow evening. All right, so please tell me Rogers won't get hit again. Hopefully not. So QLCS tornadoes, predicting them is like playing whack-a-mole, as the truth. But not necessarily, not anymore. There's been a lot of research on it, and I think it's really beneficial.
Getting a lot better.
Because now you can isolate parts of the line that has the greater tornado potential.
It's crying again.
Yeah. Well, that does it. All right, we'll see about that. That's a possibility, no doubt about that. But remember, damaging winds. Now, here's the thing: the ground's really dry, and we mentioned how runoff is going to be an issue. So, anyways, we got to run because we've got a newscast that's coming up now after the World Series Game 4, which means there's a Game 5, which means we have to deal with severe weather while there's a World Series. And we respect people's programming, but we also want to save, people's lives if there are damaging.
People don't respect us
detonators
for
and
trying to do
storms.
that.
No. We'll see what happens. All right, guys. We will keep you updated. Josh has the updates. We'll have the newscast on Fox 24, news after the World Series.
Write a blog.
We're having a blog that's being put together. It'll be a live weather blog, so you'll see a lot of new information as it comes out. So we'll let you know about all the warning sites and the ways to get the warnings. We'll do that tomorrow when we get in before the storms. All right? See you guys later. Thanks for watching. Take care. We'll get you through this. Have a good one.